So now that the night has passed and everyone is had a chance to have a breather, sun comes up. I made it so that these people were such an integral part of the battle that had happened. The governor decides to include them in a lot of the meetings and the things that are going on. So he didn't just come to them with a proposal. They were part of the actual meeting with him, talking about what needed to be found out, what they needed to figure out, how to go about doing that. One of the things that I knew I kind of wanted to incorporate was one of the things that the book talks about is a NPC with veteran stats with some dogs who is fighting during the attack on the town. I fleshed him out a little bit, gave him a name, all that stuff. But then after, when my players were leaving the city and trying to track down these cultists, they ran into a couple of stragglers who were about to eat one of this guy's dogs. They rescued the dog. Thankfully, I didn't want to have to go through that, but they did. They rescued the dog, and the dog followed them for quite a ways until they managed to chase it off. But so to me, the whole point of this going to the camp and scoping things out is not only to gather some information on the cultists, but you're also going to want to make sure that your players encounter Leosin in some way, somehow. It seems silly to me that a group that just raided a town is going to be so lax on security that they're not going to notice a group coming in that nobody knows and, you know, gathering intel and running around. And so my players were able to do that to a certain degree. They got in through things. I made sure to describe a lot of the different parts of the camp and how they were very segregated, and how there was a difference between the mercenaries and the cultists, and the kobolds had their own little area that was nasty. As soon as they got into the cultist area, and my players, they weren't being really careful, so pretty quickly they got scooped up, which I don't like to railroad my players, but to me, it seemed like that was kind of the outcome that the book almost demanded for this encounter. Unless your players scout the outside of it and never actually enter, then they're never going to meet Leosin. Which they didn't do. They wanted to go into the camp. They wanted to find out. And so I let them, they made some great rolls. They made it all the way through the prisoner camp until they finally got caught trying to break free Leosin, which is when they were all taken prisoner, except for one person who had snuck up on his own and managed to get roped into working for some of the mercenaries, like digging latrines. So then you've got to deal with, okay, so now we've got this hurt man that we've got to take all the way back to the city, and now for some reason we're going to go back to their camp. However you end up working that is, to me, there's such a wide variety of how you're going to make that work for your game that it's probably going to be different every single time you run it. Whether it's, you get up enough of the guards from the keep that you guys are going to go, make a counter strike against these guys, or you're going to go and try and, kidnap their leader for more information about what they're doing here. I laid a lot of seeds throughout when they were sneaking around that these guys were packing up and they were getting ready to leave. I planted that pretty heavily throughout the whole thing so that they kind of suspected that they were getting ready to leave, and if they didn't get there quickly, they were going to miss out on their chance to see these guys, which they did anyway. There's a lot of things in the dragon hatchery that could be a whole lot of fun. I had psychedelic mushrooms inside mine. I had a lot of traps. So it's one of those things that you're really going to have to read it all through. If you think you can run it just the way it is, great. I took a whole lot of stuff from Hack and Slash, a blog. I'll include a link down below. That was really, really great. I didn't use all of his stuff because some of his stuff felt almost too hardcore, I guess is the way to put it. But I leaned pretty heavily on that, and also some of the forums and Reddit to try and make this make more sense. My players opted to smash the dragon eggs instead of trying to find a way to get them out. But again, that just depends on how your group decides to roll. Every time you play it, it's probably going to be different. Who knows? My people cleared out the entire cave system. They went through and cleaned everything out. They made a point of killing. So this video is already longer than I was expecting it to be, but I'll do another video talking about what happens when you get on the road and you head to Eturiel. I completely revamped that entire part of the book, and that's one of the biggest problems that you're going to run into with Hoard of the Dragon Queen, is if you want to make it a good campaign, you're going to have to invest a lot of time in rewriting and adding a lot of things to this module.